Welcome to Team Perry's Step Out of Line podcast, featuring co-hosts Perry and Lori Finkelstein. Together, they explore, meet, and share inspirational stories with guests who have made a positive impact in today's world. This podcast resonates with our hope to make this world a better place one step at a time through love, acceptance, and uplifting conversations.
Tim Rozon, who is so many things. He's a film and TV actor. He's an author. You're an illustrator. Apparently, I read that he is a model also, producer, and he also has two restaurants in Montreal, which is kind of awesome. I didn't know that about you. But Tim, we know you're doing a lot of stuff now. You just did a Hallmark movie last year. You're on another show this year, and you have a lead role. Amazing. But we fell in love with you, of course, watching Schitt's Creek. You were one of our favorite characters, playing, of course, Mutt. And it was incredible. So if you don't mind, we just want to ask you, how did you get that role? And did you ever think that that show was going to blow up the way it did?
Wow. First of all, that's quite a lead up to who I am. I wish all of those were true. I'm definitely not an illustrator, so I'm gonna kibosh that right away. I cannot draw in any way. Yeah, no, I do co-write comic books. I do write comic books.
Okay.
That's how we virtually met, is when I
Right.
donated the books for the I believe it was a fundraiser for the run.
Yes.
Yeah.
You were doing a fundraiser for High Lifeline, which you so generously sent us one of your comic books that you co-wrote, and it was an awesome prize, and we got a lot of bids on it, and we raised money, a lot of money. So thank you so much for that. But yes, so you have a big resume. So tell us a little bit more.
Yeah. It's one of those things where the audition came along, and it was just it felt easy reading it. Sometimes you get a lot of these parts, and you don't get too much. You get a breakdown of a character. It's normally a paragraph that kind of explains the character, and then you get a paragraph that kind of explains the whole show. So the paragraph literally kind of trying to explain Schitt's Creek was that there was this rich family, the Roses, that lose everything except the small town. And then the character of Mutt Schitt is kind of the everyday man, kind of borderline hippie, hipster, but neither too much of either one of those two things. So I just said, okay, I'm just going to try and be about as normal as I can be. And so I think Mutt is actually the closest character to myself that I've ever played. I think of all the characters I've ever played, Mutt is like me the most.
He lived in a cabin, I remember, some kind of really neat cabin.
Yeah.
Is that right? It was a rustic cabin, and I see your scenery right now where you're recording this. It looks pretty. I see trees. I see.
Yeah, I live about an hour north of Montreal. Like I said, Mutt and I have a lot of common. So Mutt lived out in the country in a barn, and I live up in the country too. So.
But you travel all over. I've read. I read that you've been to Guatemala, and you filmed also in Iran, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And Barcelona is a favorite city of yours. So, what would you say is your favorite place that you've been to besides Canada? And why? What did you love about it? Was the activities you did, or just the people, the culture? What do you look for when you travel?
Iran was actually a very special experience. I knew nothing about Iran at the time. This is maybe 14 years ago, probably 2007. So the Gulf War was going on, and I probably shouldn't have been going over there to make a movie, but I didn't know any better, and I kind of did.
Right.
But the experience I had there was life-changing, and the Iranian people treated me so great and with such respect. I had a beautiful time. And it was hectic. It was a 28-day movie shoot that turned out to be 4.5 months that I was there in Iran, never knowing exactly when I was going to get to go home. But looking back now, it was a great time in my life, and I'm happy I've done it. I'm not going to jump on an airplane anytime soon and go back to do that. I was 27 years old, and it was the time to do that.
Right.
But recently, I just spent the past 6 months in South Africa.
Oh, neat.
Yeah, so I've been filming a new show there called Vagrant Queen.
Right.
Um,
Which you have a big role in.
yeah, it's a great show. Airs on Sci-Fi's at Thursday nights at 11, and I play like a Han Solo type character, but not as I'll say adept, kind of goofier. It's kind of my most comedic role. I know you know me as much shit, but I think we can agree that Mutt himself wasn't funny
Right.
as much as everybody else was, but he was in funny situations. So this time I get to play a very comedic character, kind of the goofball in space. Very fun. And I just adore South Africa. The crew and the cast there were some of the best people I met. Um, it's also, you really realize, well, I think we all feel it now during Corona and COVID, that we take a lot for granted.
Yeah, of course.
And, spending time in South Africa, I definitely felt that.
I know that Perry went to Israel a few years ago, and we appreciated it a lot while we were there, but you really
Mhm,
don't appreciate it until you get home and you look back and you say, I can't believe I did that.
mhm,
Like Perry did ATVing. She went in the Dead Sea, like things you wouldn't ordinarily think that a person in a wheelchair can actually do in their life. And when you do
mhm.
extraordinary, I think as you're doing it, I think now as we do things like that, we're going to have to say as we're doing it, this is incredible, rather than wait till you get home and think about it. I think you really have to, I think maybe that's what we'll take from this. So what are you doing during Corona time? You're not filming. Are you doing anything creative at home that you can write or?
Yeah, I am writing. I'm writing a new graphic novel that I have been working on personally. So it's a Western, and I'd hope to finish it by the time this is over, and that's going well. Um, just because I could, I've kind of taught myself to juggle. So
Why not?
I went on YouTube, and there's a guy called Juggling Josh, and I started following Juggling Josh's videos, and I started with 2 balls and moved up to 3. And the goal is to be able to juggle 4, but I'm juggling 3 now pretty good. But I'm very fortunate in the fact that I do another show called Winona Earp,
Right.
where I play Doc Holliday, the cowboy. And I was actually filming that when the corona happened. So I was about halfway through the season, and that's why I have this beard. It's for the character, which I hopefully will be going back to. So I
Can't
got
shake.
to stay in character. Um, and we found out, we've all got to come back home. I was out in Western Canada and I came back home. But the good news for me is that in December, I became a father.
Mazel tov.
Thank you. So that's what I'm doing this whole Corona. And it's wonderful. And I'm not taking a second for granted.
Right.
That I
You're
get to spend
very
time.
lucky. You have this
Yeah.
time.
And
Normally, you couldn't.
I wouldn't have had it.
Right.
So I think I'm the only person who's not complaining too much about the quarantine.
I
And
have a friend who just had a baby about 3 weeks ago, and the same thing. He said he never would have had this time home with the baby.
yeah,
As a dad, it's incredible because usually you don't get that.
yeah.
So that's a lot of fun.
And plus, I highly recommend it if there's another quarantine that people plan a baby during it, because it's wonderful. The time just flies by because
I
they
think
take up so much of the time. Yeah, it's
9 months from now, people will be having babies.
yeah,
So
100%. Yeah,
what else is there to do?
yeah.
That's great. So what is the first thing when everything gets back to normal, you can travel again, you can film, what's the one thing that you want to do?
I want to go finish season 4 of Winona Earp. We were literally on a hiatus. We were saying that we were like, it just worked out that way. We were on a hiatus. We had finished the first halfway through the season. We were all saying goodbye to each other, saying, okay, see, we had heard kind of stuff about borders maybe being closed or not, but it wasn't what it is now. So we had just kind of said, okay, see you in a week to everybody, not
Okay.
knowing that week was going to turn out to be months and whatever. So I want to get back and finish it. The history behind that show is we almost lost our show last year. Um, I don't know exactly what happened. There was some funding that was misappropriated, or we'll say between something, because the network Sci-Fi did pick us up for season 4 and 5, and then all of a sudden, halfway through the year last year, we heard Winona's lost its funding. Something happened with our parent company, and I don't know all the details about that. I just know we almost lost our show. And well, the fans came together and they
Right.
petitioned. They called themselves the Earpers. They literally were buying billboards in Times Square with their own money, to support the show and show love for the show. And they did so much that we were in the New York Times about it, and they put
Right,
up
I
so
read
much.
reading.
Yeah.
It's like
So,
a cult following you.
yeah. And they're the most beautiful people. It's a fandom built on kindness and understanding and acceptance. And it's great to be a part of. So I want to finish it because they deserve it.
Correct.
So we want to go, and I want to finish that season 4 so I can get it out to these Earpers that fought so hard to get us that season. It feels like everything is trying to not make us get this season, but we will finish it.
That's awesome. And I know we're looking forward to seeing you in many more things as well. So we'll be following you and your career. And from the bottom of our hearts, Perry and I want to say thank you for doing this interview, for supporting us and giving us that great raffle prize that we were able to get a lot of money for kids who are sick, who need help. And we wish you all the best with your new baby.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys.
Thank you so much. You're awesome, and thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Anytime.
Stay safe.
Okay, stay safe,
Thank you.
guys.
Bye-bye.
No